Welcome to Tile Trends by Tile Club, the podcast where we explore all things related to tile and home renovations. I'm your host, Lindsay Flukiger, and today we have a very special guest with us. Joining us is Janelle Payne, known on social media as Nail Gun Nelly. Janelle is an expert in DIY renovations, particularly when it comes to RVs. She recently incorporated Tile Club's Mint Palisades Picket Tile in her RV kitchen renovation. Janelle is also a mom and a social media influencer, balancing her passion for renovations with motherhood. Welcome, Janelle. We're thrilled to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
Likewise. So we would love to start off our episode getting to know you a little bit better. Can you tell us a bit about your journey as a DIY enthusiast and also how you got into renovating RVs?
Yes. So really since I was a little girl, I have loved little challenges of what I could create. And I would say me and my husband, we would always do little projects around the house. And I started filming it and putting it out on social media because I would find that I would take pictures of like different projects we were doing and they would just get lost. Like I had no idea where they were. And I realized that you could save everything to like a little highlight on your Instagram. So I was like, oh, okay, well, let's just start filming some stuff. And that way I can just put it on my highlight. And as soon as I started doing that, when we were doing it was actually a really large renovation on our standards. We turned an old tack room into a studio at our house. And I just started posting things and people were like, whoa, what are you doing? Well, I didn't know you could do that. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think anybody would be interested in this. And slowly they just were like, give us more updates. And so it just turned into a thing where I started filming everything. And then COVID happened. And my husband and I are actually both nurses. We're critical care nurses as well. And in our area, we saw there was a large need for travel nurses, housing. There's always need for housing in our area. And I had this idea. We had just finished the studio and I wanted another project. And my neighbor actually had this really, really old trailer that was like rotting away, basically. And I was like, that's it. Like I went down a rabbit hole on Instagram one day and I had no idea that you could, like, people even renovated RVs, and it was amazing what they did. And I was like, okay, if she'll let us have that, I'll try it out. And if we mess it up, we mess it up if we can get it for a good deal. And so we went and asked her and she was like, thanking God, because she wanted somebody to just take it. Like she didn't even want us to pay for it. And we're like, okay. And so I had the freedom of like, if I messed up, it's okay. We're not losing money on it. And we turned it into a little tiny home. And during COVID, we were able to get a lot of our travel nurses and we made it into like a little place for them to stay. So it was cool. I had nothing else to do other than be at the hospital. And then I had this little project that I had during COVID, and it turned into just a love for tiny homes. They're really fun little projects that I love that it's like, if you're in the house, you don't want to do, for instance, I did a cigar lounge. I'm not going to make a whole house with like black interior and like crazy, alcohol dispensaries. But in these little RVs, I was able to just create these little spaces that I normally wouldn't have a chance to do. So that's like my favorite thing about them. I currently just did a little girl kind of trailer, and I've done a cigar lounge. I've done just a lot of different themed looks. And so I feel like it just allows me to be really creative and try new things all the time.
That is amazing. I have new words from nurse, like DIY. How incredible is that you took something so horrible during 2020, the pandemic, and then out of that was born all this creativity and then a way to serve others who are helping in the medical field.
It was pretty cool. It was a good part of a not so great time.
So cool. I would have never known you were a nurse. No way. Just by following you and seeing your projects. So are you still practicing, or is that kind of done and you moved on?
Yeah. Well, that kind of actually, So me and my husband are both nurses. When we had our two children, I cut back and I went what they call reserve. So really I go about once a week into the hospital still. So it afforded me a ton of time. I wanted to be able to stay with my kids. And then by being able to do that is where I really started doing a lot of projects, and I always have them with me. I keep saying how my youngest one is going to start school this year, and I just don't even know what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to have so much time because so many people are wondering, how do you do all that stuff with them? And, Instagram will show you what Instagram shows you. I don't show you the 50,000 snack breaks I do, but it actually, being a nurse, it has really afforded me time to do DIY because we do have such flexible schedules. And yeah, I know, a very random fact that I'm a nurse. Most people don't know that.
Yeah, like nurse, mom, DIYer, Wonder Woman. There's just like
a lot going on.
Yeah. It's amazing. So I have 5 kids, 4 biological and a stepdaughter. And I know people all the time are like, how do you do what you do? And if you're a mom, you just roll up your sleeves and go, and find joy along the way. So rolling that into my next question, I have loved watching all of your content with your little son. And he's about the ages of my youngest as well. And I'm just so impressed with your patience. I know you said we only kind of see the Instagram highlight part of things. I know, but what kind of inspired you to have your kids participate in these renovations? And how do you balance for me, it would be the anxiety of they're going to cut a finger off, or they're going to is that part of the, I don't know, journey? Do you ever worry they're going to get hurt? How do you bring your kids into the picture with your renovations?
Yes. I mean, I don't really think, oh, they're going to cut themselves or they're going to hurt themselves. I think they want to be a part of it. If I try and make them just go inside or go play or something, they're like, no, they want to naturally be with you. And I think society these days, I don't know, I feel like people are harboring their children almost. It's no, you let them see the thing, let them pull the trigger. I feel like the more you let them do these things, knowledge is power. They're going to be okay, I understand that is a saw and that cuts and don't go near it. Or just, I don't know, my kids have always wanted to be a part of it, and I want them to be a part of it. I feel like so many kids don't do things like that where it's going to only benefit them. And, when they're maybe teenagers, they're going to be oh, of course I know how to cut a hole in the granite, I've done that when I was 5 years old. But I think they crave to learn all that stuff. And the more that you involve them it's just going to be natural to them. But luckily, we have not had any accidents with them. So
That's awesome.
I guess they're learning good.
Yeah. Well, I love how step by step you're this is what this does, and now we're going to do this. And I loved watching those and see you teach him. So super cool that you can kind of mix motherhood and being a DIYer together. So,
yeah, and I will say being able to look back on seeing them in the projects, you don't realize, at the time it's oh, you're making this take so much longer. Sometimes you're can you just go and I'll just take care of this really quick. But then when I see these videos, I think I made a video on Mother's Day where I was showing kind of synopsis of him helping. And it's just those are so precious. And I know when they get older, I'm going to look back and be oh, I wish they would be here right now. So it's really cool. It is cool.
Awesome. And giving them just that gift of your time and attention while learning a skill, best of both worlds. Yeah. So we brought you on the show today, Janelle, because Tile Club did a really cool collaboration with you. Yes. And let's talk about that recent RV kitchen renovation. What inspired you to use Tile Club's Mint Palisade Picket Tile, and how did it transform the overall look and feel of your RV's kitchen space?
You can tell, and it's just such a like, whoa, you did that, like it's really upscale looking, and the faucet against it was perfect.
Yeah. We are in love, every bit of it. So cool. So we always love to ask anyone that we collaborate with about the good, the bad, the hiccups, everything along the way. So RV renovations often come with unique challenges. And could you share some insights on the specific considerations, adaptations required when renovating an RV compared to a traditional home?
Yeah. Like I said, for tile installation, you definitely, I don't know because I've never done mortar and grout, but it makes complete sense that with the movement that there would be cracking. So my method of installing the tile was with an adhesive backing and then the silicone caulking. But another big thing that when I first started in RV renovation, so you want to put like change out the furniture or the couch or put in this one, it was very small, so I wouldn't say that, but prior ones, I've had to take out couches, and you can't just put another couch in. Like you have to be like, well, how much does it weigh? Because every trailer has like a certain amount of weight that it can hold. And so you have to be very conscious of how much weight you're taking out along with what you're putting back in. So every renovation we do, we go to like a weigh station, and we make sure that after all of our renovations that they're within the, I think it's GVWR, don't quote me on that, but like the weight restriction for that trailer, every trailer has one. Another thing that was huge was when you are attaching, like I have had to build cabinets to put them in. You got to know like the wall thickness and the studs are way different than a house. Like you're not using 2x4s. You don't. So like your nails and your screws have to be really tiny so that they don't pop out the outside of the RV. And just like all these little things where you wouldn't even think, you just be like, let me go build something. You're like, no, you can't, because that's too heavy or that's too big, or how are you going to get it in the RV or out of the RV? All these little things, different painting methods, like a lot of them for their walls, they have like this wallpaper on them. So you need a really good primer, a specific kind of primer for the RVs. But once you get it all, under your belt, then you're like, okay, I know how to do this. But luckily with Instagram, YouTube, so much knowledge is out there. I get asked all the time, how do you know how to do this? I'm like, go on Instagram. There's a million different creators that give you so much knowledge. And YouTube, you can pretty much ask the question and they tell you.
Yeah,
it's just trial and error at that point.
Yeah. Wow. I would have never thought there were so many just like little meticulous things that you've really like taking it to a weigh station to make sure like, I never thought that. That is like really interesting. And I'm sure it can take a lot of patience, but like you said, maybe once you kind of got it down to an art, you've done a few, then you kind of know what to expect. But
yeah,
that's really
it's just at first when you're trying to figure it out, you're like, oh, I didn't even think that I would. It's really hard when you're like trying to source things and you're like, oh, this couch or this chair would be so perfect for the design, but I can't use it because it's too big, And so it's just a matter of finding the design that is the correct weight or size that's going to go with it. So a little different road.
Yeah. So where have your favorites like RV travels taken you? Where have you guys journeyed to and really enjoyed visiting?
Oh, our last year we went, it was by far my favorite trip. I did one of my biggest renovations. I took a Ford Transit passenger van and completely gutted it. It was to a shell and built a van conversion. And we ended up, I planned like a month-long trip through northern Arizona, South Utah, all that area. And we went to Zion, the Grand Canyon, all the beautiful spots in that area. And it was amazing. And we were a family of 4 in a van and everybody thought we were crazy, but it was actually extremely comfortable. It was one of our most memorable vacations that we've ever taken. And I honestly can't wait to plan another one.
Awesome. So the RV that you just renovated, what's in store for it? Where will it be going?
We have, well, so far we're almost done with it. Like we think in about a week. We're waiting on the cushions. It's the last piece of the puzzle. And so hopefully in another week, but we only have a few small trips locally. I'm on the central coast of California. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but we have like some amazing areas in this little, I don't know, hour north to hour south of us. So we're just going to keep it locally, all the beaches around here, but we do plan, we might be just taking it up north to Northern California, Oregon area. We haven't decided yet. We need to plan it all out.
Yeah. Well, if you hit Northern California, come see us because that's where we're. That's so fun. Wow. So after you've renovated these RVs and like the transit van, do you ultimately like sell them, or are you this is something that you keep for your family for future trips?
It's never the plan, but that's always what happens. And so I never intend on selling them. We always renovate and I'm like, okay, we're going to keep this one. We're going to go on trips. We do go on trips. And then I get the bug to do another one. And my husband's like, okay, we can't justify having the whole trailer park here.
Right.
So we've ended up selling every single one. This one, once again, we have no intention on selling, but you never say never. So
Yeah.
we probably will, but we do plan on not selling this one until another one is complete, because that is like, we have that little time frame of wishing we could go on trips and we don't have anything done at that time. So we do plan on hanging on to this one for a while, but yeah, we always end up just wanting to create another one, and that's what happens.
That's awesome. So if any of our listeners like are near you, can they get a custom created RV by Nelga and Nelly?
I get asked that all the time, and no. As of right now, I don't know. I just, I enjoy it too much where I'm like, I want to create whatever I want to create. And then if I sell them, everybody on my Instagram feed always is the first to know. And so if I do sell, it'll be posted on my Instagram and then kind of go from there. But I'll help people, like if they have questions about RVs or like their renovation, I have no problem giving my input. But as of right now, I can't commit to doing projects for others.
I can imagine that would
Never
be
know.
Sure. Yeah. I bet there's like a waiting list and people are just like waiting to see who's up for sale. So fun. So what are some of the most valuable lessons that you've learned as a DIY enthusiast and social media influencer that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Just don't quit. I feel like so many people ask me, like, how do you know how to do that? Or, I wasn't good for, all the time. And I feel like the more you just practice and keep going, you're going to get better. That's how it is with everything in life. Like, your first time is not going to be the best. And I didn't know how to do all this. I'm still learning to this day. And I feel like if you are your biggest obstacle. If you want to do something, if you want to learn something, then you can do it. And it might not be at the same pace as somebody else, but if you try and you're committed, like you're going to be able to do it. I see so many people that just kind of give up on things and just don't. If you want it bad enough, just keep going.
Yeah, that's some great advice. I think there are a lot of people. I mean, I can admit to being like a closet, like wannabe DIYer, but it's like, I just don't have the courage or like the faith in myself that I could be crafty if I tried.
Yeah.
So I love that. Hopefully there will be people that are tuning in. They're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the project. So,
and I will tell you, like, that's one of the coolest things about being an influencer. I hate saying the influencer word, but it's so cool when I've had people like create DIY pages and they'll send them to me and be like, I finally had the courage to do it. Thank you. Or like, I learned so much from you. Or they'll take a tutorial that I've had on my blog and create it and send me it. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you copied me. Like, I'm still almost like imposter syndrome, where, what do you mean you look to me for help? But it's really cool. It's so cool to see that you can inspire others. and then turn around, they're going to end up inspiring others. So it's a cool little place, social media. It has its faults, but it's great at the same time.
Definitely. I totally believe it can be used, as a tool for good or for bad. And it's just what you can find whatever you're looking for. And I'm so glad that people are finding you and being inspired by what you're doing. So you mentioned your blog and tutorials. Can you tell us a little bit about, we're going to link everything in this podcast episode so our listeners can come and take a look. What will they find should they visit your blog, and what kind of tutorials do you have there?
So, I have not been very good at doing them lately, but I will be again. Anytime I do smaller projects, I feel like a lot of times I'm doing huge overhaul, like big projects. So it's kind of hard to do a tutorial on that. But yes, my website's nailgunnelly.com. Pretty simple to remember. And I've done outdoor fire pits. I've done outdoor furniture, like more modern couches, little tables, things like that, that I feel like people that want to learn something can easily attain it. And I just break it down step by step. And if you do it, hashtag nailed it like Nelly. And that way I can share it.
Nailed it like Nelly.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. How cute. Wonderful. Well, Janelle, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show today and to get to know more about you and see your heart and soul and how much you just love and enjoy renovating, but also that you have this other side of you that's in the medical field, helping and caring for others, and mom extraordinaire, all the things. We are a woman-owned company, and we just love collaborating and mingling with other women who are doing big things in the design space. So thank you so much for your time. Is there any final advice that you'd like to give to our listeners today?
I can leave you with one of my favorite quotes. People overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can accomplish in a year. I think people need to look at things as step by step. And at the end of the day, after you look back on that year, you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I accomplished all that. But if you break it down into little things, it's a way you can accomplish it. Don't look at the overall picture. Look at the task in front of you.
That's amazing advice. I love that quote. I'm looking forward to women and people everywhere taking a listen to this episode and being inspired. And we'll continue to follow you and make sure that our listeners can do the same.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Janelle. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.